Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Chat with Ryan Frank. So glad that you are here. Welcome, YouTube. Welcome, podcast listeners. Welcome those of you that are on Facebook right now. So glad that you're joining me. Those of you that are with me live or watching this later, thank you for joining me for our conversation today. We're in for a treat today. We're going to talk about productivity and getting things done. Now, some of you have been super creative over this quarantine and staying productive and getting things done amidst the crazy. So I want to talk to you about that today. Brittany Nelson's going to be with us. Jim Wideman is going to be with us. If you have any questions, please text at the number right there, 833-792-6372. We're watching those text messages as they come in. So if you have a text or a question, text it to us. Also, we appreciate the encouragement and the feedback. A lot of you are texting saying, Ryan, have you thought about discussing this in a coffee chat or bringing this person on in a coffee chat? We also had a great weekend in the I Love Kidmin Facebook group, the I Love Kidmin community. Thank you for the great conversations. I think we're seeing a lot of conversations, especially this weekend, around how do you make kids social distance and what's that look like? I stopped today at our local elementary school and I was talking to the principal about this fall and how are we going to, and she would say, how do we keep first and second graders, right, social distancing? And I said, we're definitely feeling this tension in the church as well, but a lot of great conversations happening around registering kids. Here's someone earlier today said they are having to keep a record, a log of the people that show up because they can't have more than 100 people. What's that look like? Are you carpeting or marking the carpet for social distancing? So a lot of good conversations happening. There's Brittany and Jim Wideman, today's coffee chat. Thank you all for being such an active part of the community. I'm thinking we may be just 2 or 3 weeks away from reaching 25,000 members in the I Love Kidmin community. So thank you for inviting your friends. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Brittany Nelson is an amazing person. She's one of my favorite Kidmin people ever. Brittany, why don't you jump on here with me? Brittany always comes, I always invite Brittany to come to MegaCon. She's always smiling. She's so creative. And what's going on, Brittany? How are you?
Hey, good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing great for a Monday. I love Mondays.
I love Mondays too, actually.
I do.
Favorite day of the week.
Fresh start to the week.
Yep.
And I don't hear anybody crying in the background.
She is napping right now, but I've got my little monitor next to me. She's tucked away in the corner of her crib. She likes to find the corners and burrow in.
Does she? I love it.
Yep.
So tell us about the new addition.
Yes, her name is Holloway. It's my grandmother's maiden name.
Yeah.
And she's 4 months old. Well, we'll be 16 weeks old tomorrow. So we're about to hit another growth spurt, which I feel like I've kind of got things. She's on a good schedule right now. We've got things figured out. But with this growth spurt, lots of friends and lots of research that I've done has said everything's about to change. So I'm just trying to prepare for that.
Well, if you're friends with Brittany on Facebook, she posts a lot of really cute pictures. So Brittany has created a website called deeperkidmin.com, which we'll talk about a little bit. But Brittany, one thing that I've always been impressed, or one thing that's always impressed me about you is you're getting things done. You've always got projects going on. You're putting new stuff on Deeper Kidmin. Now you've got this baby. You've got all this kids pastor ministry stuff, and you're just a productive person. What have you found? And we kind of, with you jumping on here and Jim Wideman, we've decided to kind of theme today's coffee chat, getting things done. What have been some hacks or tips that you've found that have helped you get things done?
One of the biggest things I would say would be sticky notes. It's a really simple thing, but it's having Post-it notes, whether it's Post-it notes on my computer, or if I could show you my desk, there are sticky notes all over the place. And I use those to jot down ideas as they come so that I can keep moving on maybe what I was working on if an idea kind of pops up in the middle of something else. But it's also a way that I kind of keep a to-do list on my computer of a long-term to-do list, a short-term to-do list, things that I want to get done, in the next hour versus things that I want to get done in the next month. And so sticky notes, just having that log in front of me.
I like that. Do you keep your to-do list on sticky notes?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
Yep. Or
love it.
even like the notes in like the notes app on my Mac or in my phone. Anytime I can check something off or scratch through
Exactly.
something when it's done, that makes my heart happy. So being able to see those things written down and then crossed out once they're done is a really big help.
Yeah.
And one other thing too that I've been doing, especially since the baby has come, is setting a timer. Whether it's okay, I have an hour to work on this, and as soon as that timer goes off, I've got to move on to something else, has been really helpful. And in the past, it was an actual timer on my phone, and now it's
Mm.
a baby who wakes up at, in an hour and a half and has to eat or needs a diaper change. And so having kind of that time crunch, that pressure, has really helped too.
Yeah. So dig into that one a little bit and tell us what's that look like practically with this timer. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to work on this, and I really want to try to give myself like 10 minutes to do this, or what's that look like?
Yeah, so there's one thing that I've been exploring recently called Parkinson's Law, and that just means that work expands to fill the time allotted. So if I say to myself, all right, Tuesday, I want to work on getting my subscriber email ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to work on for Tuesday. Well, then it's going to take me all day Tuesday to get that ready. When really, in reality, it probably takes me 20, 30 minutes to get it done if I'm really focused.
Mm.
And so instead of saying, all right, Tuesday, I'm going to work on this, I'll say Tuesday from 9:30 to 10 is my subscriber email time. And so I'll set a timer on my computer, set a timer on my phone. Even if it's, sometimes I set myself up emails to send at certain times, to say, all right, stop, time to move on. And so having kind of that structure, even just mentally knowing in the back of your head that, all right, this is the time I've got. And if I don't finish it, then it's got to wait till tomorrow or something else has to give, can really help you be more productive and more focused rather than letting your mind kind of explore all the different things that you have going on.
I love it. That's good advice. I also love what you said at the beginning about using post-it notes to capture ideas. I
Mhm.
think I think a lot of ideas get lost because we don't write them down. We don't type them somewhere. We think, "Oh, I'll remember this." And
Yeah.
then the day happens and life happens and we get busy and we forget. Um, and that's one lesson I learned from my pastor years ago is and he still to this day carries these small index cards in his pocket. Like whenever he thinks of something, he writes it down. Thinks of something, writes it down. And that's a little hack that I learned from him because I do, maybe not everybody's forgetful, but I forget things. And I think if you just write it down, um, you don't have to worry about forgetting it. So write down those ideas.
Yep. And even if I'm out and about, and because I don't carry my sticky notes with me, but I'll just shoot myself an email. I do that on Sunday mornings a lot as I'm going through things, or if I see something that needs to be changed on a Sunday morning, like, hey, shoot myself an email next week, make sure I bring
Yeah.
more Clorox wipes or, whatever it is. And just getting it done, writing it down. I can worry about it later, but it frees up that mental space to kind of keep focusing on what you're doing without losing the momentum and the brainstorming aspect of it too.
I love it. What's been this pandemic, working from home, having a baby now? What's been one of your big challenges in staying productive or getting things done? And how
That's
do
a
you
good
feel like you've
question.
overcome that? Or
Yeah. I think giving myself grace to know that it's okay if productivity looks different in this season.
Mm,
Whether that's from the pandemic or from becoming a mom.
yes.
But being okay with being okay with more flexibility in my schedule, because I'm a pretty scheduled person, staying on top of things, even when I schedule kind of relaxation times or times of rest. I schedule my afternoons of I'm not going to do anything, that's part of
Yeah.
my schedule. But yeah, just being okay with productivity looking different. It's going to look different than it did before I had a baby. It's going to look different than it did before the world shut down from the pandemic, and so
Exactly.
being okay, giving myself grace, giving other people grace, when things have to change, and being okay that sometimes productivity just means sitting and holding the baby, or reading
Mhm.
a book with her,
Ooh,
or reading and relaxing, taking a nap. Sometimes in my meetings with myself, I use it as a nap time
yeah,
because she was up
yeah,
from 3 to 4, and
exactly.
so
Exactly.
yeah, productivity is okay if it looks different in this season.
I love it. Now let's shift gears just a little bit because I said at the beginning that I'm just so impressed with how creative you are and you get these ideas and you build things and you execute them. And if you go to deeperkidman.com, you're going to see Brittany has built this site with all of these great resources and ideas to help you. in your children's ministry. Well, are you by nature, do you feel like you're a creative person, that you get an idea, it's easy for you to execute, to build it, make it happen? Or is it kind of something that you've developed?
I think a little bit of both, honestly.
Okay.
Because I am such a planner, I like to plan things. And so when I get an idea, my next natural reaction is, okay, well, then how do I make this happen? What are the steps I need to take? How do I plan this out? So I think part of that is just part of my personality. But I also think it's been something that I've had to work on, because sometimes, you just get into a rut, or you feel like you're hitting a wall or writer's block or whatever you want to call it with your creativity. You feel like you're just hitting something. So making sure that I'm all, while I'm taking care of the things that have to get done, and the day-to-day stuff, also making time for those afternoons of rest, which is usually when I have the best ideas that come to me, because my mind is relaxed enough to allow that creativity to happen. So I'd say it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, good stuff. Brittany, tell us 30 seconds about deeperkidman.com. And if you go there, what are you going to find?
Yeah, deeperkidman.com is a place for children's ministry leaders by children's ministry leaders. We give away a free download every Friday. We also have a marketplace where multiple children's ministry leaders across the country and even around the world are creating and sharing and selling the resources that they've created for their ministries and found successful. So it's just a place a community where we can share ideas, share the things that we've done, and kind of help support each other in ministry as we are serving kids.
I love it. Deeperkidman.com. Find it on Instagram as well. You've got a great Instagram account. And it's just Deeper Kidman, right?
Yep, just Deeper Kidman.
Cool. Brittany Nelson, you're a great friend. You're a great part of this community. Thanks for jumping on the coffee chat with me today.
Thanks for inviting me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right. Let's stay in touch.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, Brittany.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Go check out deeperkidman.com when you get on Instagram the next time. Find Deeper Kidman, follow him. Brittany's a great, great children's ministry champion, and I'm glad to be your friend. We're talking today about productivity and getting things done. I put something on Facebook and Instagram on Friday or Saturday, sometime over the weekend, about my daily productivity playbook that I have been religiously, this is my playbook for today. I fill out this one sheet of paper every day, and I've religiously done this for, I believe, the last 4 years, maybe 5, but I'm confident it's been at least 4 years I've done this, and it really helps me stay productive and focused and get done what I need to get done. I put that online not knowing so many of you were going to ask me, how do I get that handbook or that playbook? And we did last year. We dressed it up, and I'm really proud of it. We made it a printable. It's the Ryan Frank Productivity Playbook. And Andy, maybe you can drop a link into the chat for me. But how this works, and then hang tight with me for just a minute, because we're going to bring Jim Wideman in. You're not going to want to miss Jim Wideman today for sure. Here's how this works. Here's what it looks like on the screen. It's the Ryan Frank Productivity Playbook. You print this off. And I always encourage people to put it in some kind of a notebook, get a nice 3-ring notebook. But you've got a cover sheet. And then I'm going to have you come up with every month 3 big goals for your work, 3 big goals personally, and 3. Okay, no, just 2. Sorry, I was confused. For your life work. That's right. I was thinking work and ministry, but those are combined. Your life, work, and personally. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill it out for June. Okay. Here are 3 big work goals. 3 big things I really want to get done this month at work in my ministry. And then I have you break them down into action steps. Here are the 3 goals. Okay. Here's I'm hoping to get them done. Did I complete it? How did I celebrate? Because we don't often celebrate when we get this stuff done. And then I've got another sheet where for June, you're going to fill out your goals personally. So it may have to do with health and wellness, maybe with your finances, maybe I'm wanting to clean the garage. I mean, whatever it is. And then you break those goals down into action steps to make it happen. You give yourself a due date. You mark it with complete. and you celebrate. And then I've included some social media because as I teach about social media, I find that a lot of people need to actually create a plan for their social media personally and for their ministry and for their work. And so we've got a couple sheets of social media planning. What's the platform? What am I going to post? What am I going to post? What's the call to action going to be, which is always important when you post on social media. And then this is where it gets into the fun stuff. You create a weekly plan. I do this every Sunday night, almost every. I bet probably miss 5 Sunday nights a year if I'm on vacation or I'm traveling or I'm sick, but I make my plan for the week. So these are my big priorities for the week. This is my inspiration for the week. And then every day, and this is when I was talking to you about my daily sheet. Every day you fill this out. What's today's date? What are a few big priorities? Some things I want to focus on today. Who are some people I need to connect with today? And what are some projects what are some things I can do to move some existing projects forward? This is the sheet you're going to print every day, and you're going to fill it out first thing before you check your email, first thing before you get on Instagram. You're going to do this very first thing. And then we've left some pages for notes. Brittany and I were just talking about this. I'm sure Jim in a minute will talk about this, that you need to capture your idea. I remember hearing Jim Wideman several years ago say that your brain was not created to remember things. Your brain was created to dream and imagine and create. And so we've got some notes for you to capture your amazing thoughts and ideas. All of that can be found on Kids Matter, okay? All of it can be found on Kids Matter. Jim, I'm going to bring you in here in just a moment. What you need to do is just go to, Andy's dropped a link in, go to Kids Matter, go to download categories, okay, go to download categories, go to leadership tools. When you get to leadership tools, there it is. It's only $12. The Ryan Frank printable productivity playbook. Jim Wideman and I first met on a cruise ship. True story. Jim, why don't you jump on here with me? We first met on a cruise ship. Boy, Jim, do you remember the year?
Oh, where did I live? I bet I lived in Tulsa, so it's been longer. I hadn't lived in Tulsa in 13 years.
Yeah, I feel like it's been 15 years. I feel like it was right before we launched the Kids Matter magazine, but I could be wrong. 14, 15 years ago, Roger Fields, our mutual friend, said, Ryan, would you come? I'm going to do a cruise. And would you speak on my cruise? And he said, Jim Wideman's going to be there. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. I was excited about the cruise, but I was more excited about the opportunity to hang out and meet Jim Wideman. And remember, Jim, we met and I said, Jim, are you willing to stay up tonight and let's sit out on the deck and talk? And you said, sure thing. And we sat out and talked all night. It wasn't all night long, but we sat out there.
Well, it was a pretty long time. And I pulled out, I had a list of questions for you that I wanted to learn from you. And I had made that list, and was ready with my questions. And
now I'm trying to remember
one of the ways.
You had a beard back then.
Oh, I did. I've had a beard since 1975. I grew it out for the bicentennial. Yeah.
And you've had it
in 76. Yeah, it's been a goatee. Before I looked like Santa Claus, I looked like Colonel Sanders. Okay. And then it's been every length and every color, but it's fun to grow things.
Well, Jim's been a children's pastor. He's been a family pastor, a next gen pastor. He's written books. He spoke at events. When we decided to launch Kids Matter magazine, he jumped right in, and you joined us for our monthly editor meetings. And he's just been a champion of everything we've done. And I'm such a big fan. And Jim has been a mentor in my life. Jim, if you were going to I want to get into some content that we can add some value to everybody that's watching. But out of all the books you've written, if there was a kids pastor that's watching on YouTube right now, or listening to the podcast right now, or watching on Facebook, and you'd say, listen, you've never read a Jim Wideman book, but this is the one I wish every kids pastor would read. What is it?
Beat the Clock.
What's that little thing?
Well, this is a digital download, and if Andy will put it in the show notes,
Yeah.
On my store at jimwideman.com, you can get a digital download for just $5 all this week.
Really?
And so, yeah, so I did that just for the wonderful people that turn into the coffee chat. And so digital download, $5, jimwideman.com. But again, you know, Batman, yes, he had shark spray and he used it occasionally, but his go-to tool in that tool belt was the batarang. And I know for me, no matter what job, no matter what size church, no matter what I'm juggling at home or at the office, I jump on the utility belt, and I don't go for the batarang. I go for time management, and that's been the thing that's changed my life. I know in the hundreds of people I've coached and infused, it's so funny. There's a group of infusers I hang out with daily on a little group me text, and Aaron Bauer said he was reading Beat the Clock for the 8th time.
No.
And going over it with his staff. And, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, I'm a big component in learning. Brittany, wherever you are, I want to connect with you. I want to spend some time with you. I want to learn from you. And so Ryan, send me her number if she doesn't mind, and I'll give her mine, and I want to connect with her. But the bottom line in all this stuff is you have to keep learning and keep looking at things. And, you know, it's just like me. I couldn't come to the daily coffee chat without bringing my coffee. Yep. And, you know, that was just, you know, I felt like that would just not be appropriate if I showed up with tea. But it's one of those things, or water, but it's one of these things that through evaluation is why I brew my own beans at home. Because, you know, when I was in Tulsa, the coffee shop was on my way to work. When I moved to Tennessee, the coffee shop was, I had to pass work to go to the coffee shop, retrace my steps. And I thought, you know, Starbucks, they roast their beans too long. I was a big component in my travels of mom and pop, foo-foo, hipster coffee. And so I just started getting beans at the house, brewing it at home, because I just drink brewed coffee. So I couldn't really mess it up if I had a good brewer. And, you know, just getting up, drinking coffee from home, and then going to the office, it all came through a simple little thing called evaluation. And that's what I love about your daily part of that. It's not enough to write it for the day. You have to look at it at the end of the day.
That's right.
See what was done, and then what do you carry over for tomorrow? Maybe if you keep carrying over things over the next few days, maybe it's something that you're not even supposed to do at all. Or maybe that's something you delegate to someone else. And so, and Beat the Clock, and you know this, but I have 4 little steps: planning, preparation, evaluation, and delegation. So planning is how I want to spend my time. And it doesn't always happen that way. Preparation is where, like what Brittany said, is where I line up my steps and plans and to-dos. And again, the Bible says the steps of the righteous are ordered of the Lord. So if I'm not thinking in steps, if I'm thinking in leaps and jumps, I'm not thinking the right way for the Lord to guide my steps. And so I have to bring it down to that step level and to-do lists. I'm not a paper guy. It's so funny. I understand people that love paper. Maybe I juggle too many hats and too many different things. You know, I have 16 different calendars within my calendar that I separate things that I'm working on. So I use a program called Todoist.
I love you, brother, but I think you've got real problems. If you got 16 different calendars.
Yeah, but the cool thing is when I look at them, it's all one calendar. Yes. But all my to-do lists are divided by events, things I manage, those kind of things. And so rather than have paper, it just does it for me. And I like the term Todoist because it reminds me of King James. And if you're going to buy an app, might as well get one that sounds King James. And so I use that. Then evaluation is just how did I spend my time? And that was how I started, this. Most of the changes that I make on a regular basis come from daily evaluation. And I have been evaluating my time for 25 years.
I love that. And I think park on that one for a second, because I love that. Here's Jim Wideman. You've been a pastor, you've been in ministry all these years. And instead of just being like, hey, you know what, this is how I've organized my day for the last 20 years, or this is how I've done things. You constantly, still to this day, evaluate, and you want to add new tools into your life that are going to make you better. And I love that about you.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. That evaluation is the missing key in most of our life. What was actually done? When everything's said and done, there's usually more said than done. And in this day of productivity, I loved what Brittany said. These days cause us to work different. They look different. And I know for me, rather than work less, I've actually worked more. The 2 hours, I realized during this time, I usually have 3 hours of driving in my day that I don't have anymore. And so I've been working an extra 3 hours since we've all been sent to our rooms. And, it's crazy to me that I had to put some boundaries as I evaluated my time. I had to realize I couldn't wake up and start working, and I had to set a personal. And I did make a little sign and put it next to my chair. Don't work if you're not in the office. And just that reminder to go to the office, or go to, my office could be the back porch. My office could be upstairs in my office, in my guitar room. But again, when, wherever the office is, don't live in the office, work in the office, and don't work in the living space, live in the live space.
Yes.
And that's been one of the things that I've had to realize. And I tell you what, I also have a time when I cut it off. I limit how many nights that I book, so that my family, I limit those things. And I loved another thing that you and Brittany talked about. Hey, if you can set a start time, set an end time.
Yeah. And
the number one thing that's changed how I spend my time is setting appointments. And during that time, it's like, how do you write the books you do? I write every Friday from 2 to 5. I have an appointment to do that. I have an appointment. I have dates with my wife, dates with my kids, schedule things with my grandkids. Based on my priorities, I schedule appointments. I even have appointments to think and dream. I have, and I usually start those times with worship, and I'll just sing a song to the Lord and play my guitar and get in the atmosphere where I can receive. And then download and just sit there and write what Jesus is saying.
Yeah. I've heard you teach before, even some of you, for some people, it's good to even schedule an appointment with the Lord even.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I do that.
Everybody else.
Yeah. I tell you, having a garden has been the best thing I've done during the quarantine. Because I said, Father, you walked with Adam in the garden. And I'm designating a space that I want you to walk with me. And I started out going to the garden twice a day. Now I find myself going 3 times a day, just because I'm so hungry for Father's voice. And I have such an anticipation that I'm going to hear from him. And I have, because I've had that anticipation, and it's led to redoing my website. it's just like, it's funny. I was asking the Lord, do I need to revive a podcast? He says, no, you don't need. There's enough podcasts. Just be on everybody else's and then put a link to promote what everybody else is doing, where you would put your podcast. And so, that's more what God's called me to do. That's not for everybody, but in this point of my life, I'm a big cheerleader of what God's doing around the body of Christ rather than anything else. So, it's just where did I get that? And in the garden. And it's crazy. Yesterday was a really hot day here in Tennessee, and I just socked the water. And I started realizing that the word in the Bible, water is a reference of the word.
Yeah.
And I realized that if I want to grow to a new place, just like I want my peppers and my tomatoes to grow to a new place, I've got to just sock the word in my life. And I realized that just like I wasn't putting as much water as my peppers needed till a day or two ago, and I've seen the difference that what I thought was too much water actually must be the right amount. And I think sometimes as ministers, we think we're so busy, that's all the word we can take in.
Yes.
And really, we need to up our word.
Yeah, that's good.
And that gives us ideas of productivity so we can grow. And so, that's what the Lord's dealing with me about.
I love it. Love it. Let's wrap up by going to that last point in the book, and that's delegate.
Yeah.
Why do we often have a hard time delegating? I think we know in our head as leaders we need to do it, yet we have a hard time doing it.
Yeah, I think we don't realize that busyness is an attack of the enemy. And if the devil can't make you sin, he gets you busy. And busyness keeps you from doing what only you can do. And I realized that, yes, it was easy for me to do things and not delegate, but what it was doing was keeping me from doing the things that only I can do. And I like my steaks rare, but I want my works to be well done. And when I stand before the Lord, I want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. And there's no way that you're going to hear well done doing things that you have no business doing. So I have to ask myself, what am I doing that someone else could do with training, with watching, with coaching, and turn that over to them. And then so it frees me up to do what only I can do. And I know at my church, the Belonging here in Nashville, and every church I've ever worked at, I get to the place where I'm so proud of my team. I'm more proud of their accomplishments than I am my own, because of allowing them to make decisions and do things. We're in the middle of a new building, and I've made less decisions over the areas because I've empowered my children's pastors to make decisions. And, it's just so cool to see how they've grown and what they've done. But, again, you have to do what only you can do and allow other people to do what they can.
That's good. It's Beat the Clock. Jim, will you hold it up one more time so everybody can see?
Yeah, Beat the Clock.
Now, Jim, you can buy the physical book, or Jim, if you go to jimwideman.com, do they need a promo code or anything, or is it just
no?
$5?
It's $5 all this week. It goes off Friday, and so it's right there on the site. $5, bam. In the little acknowledgement, there'll be a way to download it, and so beat the clock.
Beat the Clock, Jim Wideman, and your website is jimwideman.com.
jimwideman.com.
.com. I'm trying to say it
.com, baby.
Yeah. All right. Hey, have you talked to our friend Corey Jones any recently?
I hadn't talked to him since yesterday.
Is that right? Well, you better call him today.
I better.
I talked to him yesterday as well.
I just texted him. Really. I mean, to me, text is talk in this culture.
Yeah, that's true.
But
probably sitting by a swimming pool, wasn't he?
I didn't ask what he was doing. I've learned in this day and time, I have erased the question, what are you doing? Because I really don't want to know, because people answer the phone in a lot of wrong places.
Oh my word. That is true.
And that we could do a whole coffee chat on things not to do with your phone.
Oh my gosh. Couldn't we though?
I have no problem with a smartphone. Don't do dumb things with it. That's the problem.
It's Jim Wideman. Jim, thanks for being with me. Love you, brother.
Hey, thanks. Love you, man.
Thanks for loving on the children's ministry community the way that you do. And if you want to pick Jim's brain about anything, connect with him at jimwideman.com or find him on Facebook or Instagram. Read his book.
Oh, the Twitters.
Are you still doing Twitter?
Ooh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I just Twittered right then. It was crazy.
I love it. Jim, love you, brother. Thank you.
Love you, man.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, Brittany Nelson. Thank you, Jim Wideman. We've had a great coffee chat today talking about getting things done. If you want a tool to help you do that, go check out my printable productivity playbook, helping you think, work, and create. It's at kidsmatter.com. Go to kidsmatter.com. Under download categories, push leadership, and you'll see it right there. It's been a great coffee chat today. We were flying in some high skies talking to Brittany Nelson and Jim Wideman. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Hope that you've been blessed by it. Hey, let's keep the conversations rolling through the day in Facebook. Let's connect over on Instagram. If we're not connected there, let's connect on Twitter. Let's connect on Pinterest. But anywhere you are on social media, I'd love to connect with you there, and let's find each other. Friends, be blessed. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow in tomorrow's coffee chat.